Jeff, we have a new national selector. Well, I say we. Australia has a new national selector in Tony Dodemaide. He won a competitive process. He was interviewed with a number of other candidates. That was made public yesterday. Feels like a pretty bloody good decision to me. Tony Dodemaide, who's been an exceptional administrator at Lords, of course at the WACA, Cricket Victoria. He's been able to get any number of things built when he was CEO at various organisations. He's a popular guy. He's a big thinker. He'll be working underneath George Bailey and alongside Justin Langer as the other national selector. And I mean, yeah, that seems to me like they've nailed that one.
I wonder. It's a curious thing to come in as a selector a couple of months before the Ashes starts. I mean, that's a baptism of fire. But maybe it's also strategically masterful in that they can't sack you that quickly. You know, normally if you're a selector and Australia lose the Ashes, you're out of a job. But if those are your first 5 Test matches in charge, they can't necessarily get rid of you that time around. Even George Bailey's a bit too recent. It'd be hard on George Bailey if he was selector for 5 Ashes tests and got the chop just like he did when he was a player. You know, five and done. Thanks. See you later. So yeah, I mean,
I suppose they'll be turning over one selector anyway because Langer won't get renewed. So I suppose they'll have whoever the new coach is becomes a selector. So. And Dodemaide will be quarantined from presumably any, as you say, it'd be stiff to come in and get punted. So they're going to have some rejuvenation on that committee or that 3-person selection panel in the next few months anyway. Yeah,
it's interesting though. I don't know. It's interesting with that the thing of a selection panel where they go, it has to be a former Test player, but it can be a relatively fringe former Test player. The sort of the Trevor Hohns decades, the Andrew Hilditch years, these kinds of things where the star players don't usually make great selectors, put it that way.
I actually quite like that. And you're right, it is that, isn't it? It's those who've had some Test experience, some Test success. Dodemaide was a very good bowler for Australia, an all-rounder. Of course, took a fifer and made a 50 on Test debut against New Zealand all those years ago. But because he had that career where he was in and out of the team, he talked on Gerard Whateley's show today about how he kind of experienced both sides of it when he was picked when maybe he shouldn't have been. And when he was left out of sides when he was in red-hot form. So I think that you need to have experienced the ups and downs as a player. Well, maybe you don't need to have, but it can help in being empathetic and understanding. And the other comment he made is he's never forgotten what it's like to be a cricketer. All his years in administration, he always still retains that sense of he is a cricketer first. So, yeah, I like it. I mean, all my dealings with Dodemaide over the years have been really positive, and I think that he's exactly the sort of personality you want in a role like that.
And if you put that together with George Bailey, who, few players for Australia have been screwed around so comprehensively as George Bailey, that sort of thing where he was part-time ODI captain when Michael Clarke didn't feel like playing, which meant that it was pretty much his team for about 3 years, but not when anything important was happening. Yes. As soon as the World Cup's on, you're on the bench, champion, run the drinks. He would have a better idea than most about how to communicate well as a selector and how to not communicate well as a selector.